we all know the whole thing going on right now is Netflix trying to buy Warner Brothers Discovery, and obviously Paramount is trying to do a hostile bid to circumvent Netflix and purchasing Warner Brothers Discovery. But while that's going on, Netflix has been kind of discussing what their plans are for everything going on, once, or for everything that would happen once they were to acquire and the sale were to go through. And one of those things is obviously the DCIP, specifically the films, the TV, and the animation side of things. Because let's face it, we're all curious. Netflix has been upfront saying, look, we're going to keep HBO Max over here. We're going to have HBO Max, but we're also going to have Netflix. And while personally I think that at some point down the line, they're going to find a way to combine the two. Look, I get that HBO is synonymous with quality and prestige and everything like that, but there's idea of running two streamers under one company doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. So to me, I feel if this deal does go through with Netflix, at some point down the line, they are going to find a way, in their own way, to combine the two, still have the HBO branding, but have one streamer. That's just my belief. But before they get to doing that, what are they going to do with DC? What is going to happen with DC films, DC cartoons, DC television shows as a whole? Well, they kind of explained a little bit while speaking at the UBS Global Media and Communications Conference. Sarandos said, "This is a prestige television brand that people really love." Speaking of HBO Max, or HBO specifically. I would say that they have been doing gymnastics to make themselves into a general entertainment brand, and I think under this transaction, they don't have to do that anymore. We're already a very well-established general entertainment brand, and we want HBO to double down on things that people have loved for 50 years about HBO. He added that these assets work better in our business model, and our business model works better with these assets. So he's like, these assets work better here, these assets work better here. Co-CEO Greg Peters, also speaking, said HBO is an incredible brand with an incredible history. It speaks prestige TV. We want to double down on that concept. So when you think prestige TV, some people think of The Sopranos or Game of Thrones or The Wire, things like that. The prestigious shows that have come out of HBO over the years. Pear's comments like True Detective, White Lotus, Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon, The Night of the Seven Kingdoms, those types of things are big prestigious shows that will focus and be the focus of HBO. While Netflix will be the home for the DC Studios titles and series based on broad IP. This is interesting. Very, very interesting. Because when news first came out about this, remember, when news first came out, they were like, hey guys, look, the structure's going to be the same. You're going to have Warner Brothers Discovery or Warner Brothers over here, which David Zaslav's going to be in control of, and you're going to have Netflix over here. And when you think about that, you start to think like, okay. So Zaslav, Warner Brothers Pictures, DC Studios, and HBO, it's going to be all under him. And then over here, you're going to have Netflix. Now, obviously, Netflix is going to be above them, but then you'll have Netflix kind of over here. So you have Netflix and then the Netflix streaming over here with all their movies and stuff over here. But it seems that DC Studios may shift under the Netflix brand. That does worry me a little bit, because what that then means is possibly, I'm not saying it's definite, but there's a possibility that Dan Lin could be James Gunn's boss. And maybe that's why Peter Safran hasn't been talked about so much in a lot of discussions that we've been hearing around everywhere. And maybe it's just that Dan Lin and James Gunn take the reins of DC Studios or something like that. But it does worry me slightly because, again, my problem has always been with Netflix purchasing Warner Brothers is their lack of creativity. It's that they are so dead set solely on algorithms. It's that they're so dead set on like, hey, we want to reach the most amount of eyes as possible. So let's just put out a product, put out 6 to 7 new things every week, a new TV show or movie every single day of the week. Who cares if it's good? Who cares if it's exciting? We just want to get as much content out there as possible so we can get as many eyes on it as possible. That way there's people subscribing because they see that there's new content every single day, and maybe they'll click on it. Instead of sitting back and saying, hey, we want prestige. We want to have good content. We want to put good content on Netflix. And that's my concern with DC. Plus, they're talking about Warner Brothers and their whole plan and their whole structure about going theatrical all the time. But if DC is now going to move over to the Netflix side of things, and they're talking about Netflix staying the course for Netflix, what does that mean for DC? Does that mean DC is not going to go theatrical? Are we? And I know he did mention Superman when he was saying, well, this year, if we were in charge, Superman would have been in theaters. Okay, I get that. But the way they're talking now does concern me. That is Superman 3, is a Batman movie in the DCU, is a Wonder Woman movie in the DCU. Is that guaranteed a theatrical release? Or is it going to be like the Knives Out sequel that's coming out this, or that just came out? Is it going to have a limited run of like 3 days in the theaters before it's on streaming? See, that's my concern about this. I know they have the money. I know that they're willing to throw money at DC, which is great. I talked about that a couple weeks ago, or a week or so ago, that look, Netflix can throw money at James Gunn and DC Studios and say, hey, go at it, make your universe. Let's see what you can do. More so than what Warner Brothers Discovery has been able to do with them. But how are they going to handle it? Is it going to stay under the Warner Brothers umbrella? Or are they truly going to move it under the Netflix umbrella? And are they going to have control of it completely? And Zaslav and Warner Brothers are not going to touch it at all? And Dan Lin runs it, or what? Like, that is my concern. I know that James Gunn is safe. I'm not worried about James Gunn not being safe. I know that he'll have a job at DC Studios. I know that if he wants to stay, he'll be able to stay. I know that without a doubt. But my concern is not with James Gunn. My concern is with how they're going to run the property. That's my concern. Because it sounds great. Like, who doesn't want to just turn on Netflix and be able to watch DC stuff? But I could do that with HBO Max now. But again, with Netflix, like, sure, I can turn it on and watch it. Like, that's the worry part, the worrisome part about all this. That is the worrisome part about all this. Again, as I keep saying, there are pros and cons with Paramount or Netflix taking over Warner Brothers. Completely. There are pros and cons. This might be one of those cons for Netflix. This might be one of the cons for Netflix. And it sucks because it affects something I love so dearly, which is DC. And I'm worried. I'm now worried. Because whereas a few days ago, I'm like, sure, Netflix. I'm kind of on board with Netflix and I'm all cool with Netflix doing it. But now I'm more hesitant. Now I'm back like, maybe I'm going to start siding with Paramount again. Maybe I'm back on the Paramount train. You know, it's that's what's going on, and I don't like it. But let me know your thoughts. I'd love to hear what you have to say, what you think about all this in the comments below. Where do you think this is going to end up? How do you think Netflix is truly going to handle DC? Look, they're saying that their plan is to put their titles and everything series-based on Netflix. Does that mean that Netflix is going to control them 100%? Let me know your thoughts below.